Blue Origin flight. So Blue Origin is owned by Jeff Bezos, and they had an all-women celebrity flight. And so the flight was launched with an all-female crew: Katy Perry, Gayle King, and Lauren Sanchez. Wonderful, that's great. Views have been mixed on that. From a awareness of the space industry perspective, it was good. We're always banging on about the fact that the UK space industry, the global space industry, doesn't get the level of profiling it deserves, how phenomenal it is. So it was good to see it in the press. However, because there was so much fanfare around the all-women crew and the celebrities, intentionally, you could have missed some of the meat behind the mission. And so we wanted to highlight some key points. And I love this post by one of the passengers, actually, Aisha Bow. And she's an aerospace engineer, former NASA rocket scientist, and the first Bahamian to fly to space. And so the first is really just to profile the fact that there were actually women in space that have decades of experience, are actually engineers that were actually on the spacecraft. And, Aisha put out a really great post about a week ago to give a bit more context for the flight and what it was really about. So first, in terms of the purpose of the mission, which could have been lost, is the fact that the mission made history, she says, in more ways than one. She says she served as a science payload operator for the first ever HBCU led research project to fly aboard New Shepard, developed in partnership with Winston-Salem State University. The mission also marked a first for BioServe Space Technologies, whose fluid processing apparatus hardware was flown to qualify it to future use on orbit. So this wasn't just about, women going to space. There is actually a wider mission here that was about the future of space. And she goes on to say, in addition to advancing plant biology research by examining how crops like chickpeas and sweet potatoes grow in microgravity, to support future food security. Yeah. So this was not just about, like I said, a few women going off to space. It was about, the future of space, future space projects, and environmental issues like food scarcity and food security moving forward. Food security, in fact. And she says she wore a bio button as part of a NASA-funded study as well. So all these things in terms of the environment and things like that, we could have missed because it was, very much about the celebrity. And so it was about the climate impact as well. So this is really important. Rockets to date have only been able to be used once. And this was about creating a reusable rocket. So she says rockets do have an environmental cost, just like cargo ships, long haul flights, and even your average data center. But this wasn't just about one flight. The long game is reusability. And that's important. And that's a really great development in the space industry. So again, she says the role of private people as well was important. And so she goes on to say she's bought STEM access to over 10,000 students worldwide, including in the Bahamas. The goal isn't just to go to space, it's to bring what we learn back home. So this was a learning excursion, and we just didn't want to lose sight of that in the fanfare that it was. And also it's about representation. It's not just about optics, it's about access. And that's what she says. And I love that. And she says, as a Black woman and first generation Bahamian American, she didn't grow up thinking space was for her. Many of us didn't. And this message sent a powerful message that science isn't reserved for the elite few. It belongs to all of us. And if one young girl saw her and thought maybe I could study engineering, she considers the mission a success. And I think that's a really great point to land on, that it was about so many things. It was about societal advancement. It was about representation. It was about climate. There was a wider mission to this. So if you haven't seen those articles, it's worth having a read. You probably have. If you're in the aerospace and space sector, you probably have seen them. But definitely Aisha Bow on LinkedIn is worth following, and you can see this post of hers and you can read it in more detail. Because she's an inspiration.